From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
Big news to start Afternoons LALATE as the President of the United States speaks about your $1,400 third stimulus check in a press conference at the White House. I'll have that footage for you as well. Meantime, his press secretary addresses the American people about how soon you can get your $1,400 third stimulus check. I'll have those details as well, and that footage across the board. Meantime, what's going on with direct deposit of your $1,400 stimulus check? Whether you're on Direct Express or whether you're at a commercial bank, small bank or paper checks. I'll have all those details as more. Meantime, what about the big business grants? When are those landing? The president will start to address the country about that in a road tour that's underway. But what's going on with forced stimulus? Suddenly, the tides are turning as you could see up to $12,000 of forced stimulus checks land your bank account in another few weeks. I have all this incredible great news as forced stimulus, third stimulus, and direct deposit of everything you've wanted is about to hit. And it's starting right now as Afternoons LA gets underway. Everyone is talking about your $14 third stimulus check. And I don't just mean me. The president spoke about it, and the vice president spoke about it. The press secretary spoke about it, and the first lady spoke about it, and even the labor secretary spoke about it. Everyone's talking about your $14 third stimulus check. Why? Because a road show is underway. No joke, a road show is underway where the President of the United States started today with a conference in the White House and a push in the press room to tell the American people about what's in your $14 stimulus check. But in this video, I'm going to not only tell you what's in your $14 third stimulus package that could pay you $5,000 to $10,000. Yes, stay with me to the end. But the incredible great news about $12,000 of forced stimulus. Yes, $12,000 of forced stimulus. That's just around the corner. There's a lot of breaking developments, and this is the first of 3 shows on Afternoons LA. Right after this is Purple, where I get you that money from second stimulus. And then after that is a tape show of Afternoons LA. I'll have the big updates across the board because there's been a lot of great news and a lot of love. Thank you for tuning in throughout the day. And of course, tonight, back at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, is Evenings LA. Your hit show is back on, so join me for that. The President of the United States spoke to members of the press today, and he spoke about the $14 stimulus check. So when are you physically receiving direct deposit of the $14 stimulus check? Let me go over the details. Throughout the day, you've seen a series of recordings on the deposit, the tracking, Direct Express, SSI and SSDI, and debit cards and paper checks. I'll go over all that right now in a broad stroke recap. First, individuals of this channel started receiving the $14 third stimulus check on Friday. More received on Saturday. When could you receive the stimulus check? It's dependent upon who you bank with. It's not dependent upon whether you're on SSI or SSDI or Social Security benefits or your name or the state you live in. All the checks were sent out electronically on Friday by the IRS. One push and only one push. They're not being sent out on the 17th of March or the 16th or the 15th. They were sent out last Friday. So what day are you physically receiving the stimulus check? It depends on who you bank with, but all those banks currently have the check. It depends on what date they release the check. Chime, Cash App, released the stimulus checks on Friday and Saturday. Countless other commercial banks, big banks, and even credit unions released the stimulus checks on Friday and Saturday. By Saturday, viewers who are on federal benefits through a card called the Direct Express card had not received the deposits that through Saturday. And in the comments, although I've not been able to read all the comments of the videos so far today, I do not see yet that any viewers who are on Direct Express cards have yet to see the clearing of the $14 stimulus check. Meantime, a series of big banks have released a date called the March 17th date. That has caused some confusion for viewers because the March 17th date does not mean you're getting it on that date. It could be the date in which it starts to process, or it could be the final date at which it ends processing. Hard to tell because the date means a lot of things differently to different people. What's important to know is that the single most important factor for tracking your stimulus check is other people who bank at your bank. Deposits all clear within the same time frame at the same bank across the country. So, if you bank at Bank of George in California and your friend who's in the chat of this video also banks at the Bank of George in Texas, you will both see the stimulus check appear in your account the same day, despite what state you're in, because all check clearance are done nationally through a bank clearinghouse that the same bank uses, despite how many locations they have across the country. The time of the day could be slightly different. So your friend in Texas who banks at your bank could see it in the morning, but you could see it at noontime. But when should you be of concern, and what should that tracking tool say to you? As you've seen through a series of videos today about the IRS Track My Stimulus Check tool, it's an unreliable tool that basically its only benefit is to tell you the amount of the check that might be going out. 1, if it shows no information, do not be concerned. It's generally unreliable. 2, if it shows a date, don't be dependent upon that date. That date does not mean the date it's going to your bank account, or the date it's going out, or the date that it's clearing. It's just a date. 3rd, if you see an amount that listed for the amount of the check in the IRS tool, that's probably the best information you get because it shows how big the household they'll be paying the stimulus check. Again, the tool is generally unreliable. But when would you likely see direct deposits? Certainly by the end of this week. Should you be on cause of alarm if you don't see it by the end of this week? No. When would paper checks appear? Paper checks would appear in the next 2 weeks. Why? Because under second stimulus, paper checks were gotten to viewers and citizens across this country within 3 days after it became law. A new report released today says that under second stimulus, checks all landed within 3 weeks after it became law. It's only been less than a week since it became law. So add 2.5 more weeks to that, and that is the time frame for paper checks or debit cards. Later in this video, I'll have more about how to track your stimulus check and the big money that is in the third stimulus package. There's $5,000 to $10,000 of other money in that third stimulus package. But today, the president addressed the nation about your fourth stimulus package not once, but several times. What he's doing currently right now is a tee-up for a sell of the package. Now, here's my opinion of what I see in the videos you're going to see shortly. First, this is the first of 3 videos on Afternoons LA. The last video, I'll have more of this footage from the president and the White House. But in one of the videos, the president says today that the stimulus package that just passed, the third stimulus package, will generate 8 million jobs. I don't like that expression. You know why I don't like that expression? Because guess how many jobs are missing in this economy? 8 million jobs. So he is touting that this stimulus package is a stimulus package to put us back to normal. Does that mean there won't be another stimulus package? That's at least the way he's phrasing it today. But you and I know that's simply untrue. Democrats have already written the president demanding reoccurring stimulus checks every month in the fourth stimulus package. And by all account, those 4 stimulus checks will be $2,000 a month for at least 6 months, or $12,000 for all viewers of this channel. Now, this $12,000 number is very important to understand. It's important to understand for a lot of reasons. 1, who would get the 4th stimulus check? You. all of you would get the forced stimulus checks. If you make less than $75,000 individual or less than $150,000, if you're on SSI or SSDI, Social Security or railroad benefits, you would get the $12,000. If you're looking for FPUC retro of $10,000, you may not get that, but you would get this $12,000. If you're on hazard pay, if you're looking for hazard pay of $10,000, you may never get that $10,000 of hazard pay, but you would get this $12,000. And if you're looking for the SSI or SSDI $2,400, you may not get that as well, but you would likely get this $12,000. At least that's what some Democrats are saying. Not me. That's what they're saying. There's now enough Democrats behind the push in the next stimulus package talking about one subject and one subject only. Lots of stimulus checks. And suddenly, while we had the balancing act of FPUC retro, SSI and SSDI, and also the issue of hazard pay, finally, a whole group of people are demanding massive stimulus checks that would pay the same group of people a lot more money than FPUC retro, hazard pay, or SSI and SSDI. This is really great news. Now, why is this even better news today? Because a series of reports coming out yesterday and this weekend, and also today, suggests this president is ready to go bigger and bolder. Let me explain what the reports say. A report on Friday said the president was on the phone with a representative in the House who is proclaiming the success of the $3,600 for children, or $3,000, and wants to change that to a lifetime benefit. It sounds like a lot of money, $3,000 a year for 18 years for a person. But it's that type of mindset that the president's starting to tee up to pay people a lot of money who need a lot of money for a very long period of time. Stimulus checks is among that mindset. Remember, when the third stimulus package was drafted by this president, no one else drafted it but him, he demanded stimulus checks as a big issue. Ironically, the Democrats who are ready to look at his next package, whether he calls it infrastructure or whether he calls it a stimulus package, say, we don't care. It has to have monthly stimulus checks in there throughout the end of this year. $6,000 for at least 6 months, and presumably for $2,000. What I'm explaining to you for the first time you're here on this channel is that, ironically, that money could land earlier than the other money in the third stimulus package. Yes, this is really great news. What the president's doing today and throughout the end of this week and early next week is going to battleground states across the country. What is he doing? He's talking about the third stimulus package, the $40 stimulus check, and all the provisions which I'm going to go over in a second, and telling Americans, this is what I delivered for you. Ironically, in the same breath, Americans' statements are, give us more stimulus checks, and he is listening. Let me cut first to a little bit of his words from the White House. But first, what I want to go over is what his press secretary said during a press conference today when addressing the subject of the stimulus checks. Here was her comment minutes ago about the stimulus package.
This will, of course, be a topic of discussion. Go ahead.
Yes. Can you bottom line for us again? What is the hope and expectation from this Help Is Here tour this week?
Over the next couple of days, a big focus is we want to take a moment, or take some time, more than a moment, to engage directly with the American people and make sure they understand the benefits of the package, how they can benefit from the package, and how it's going to help them get through this difficult period of time in our economy and our economic recovery, and also give them a sense of how we're going to use it to help address the pandemic. We recognize that signing the bill is just a first step, and getting the money out the door, ensuring people know how they can benefit, how it will help their local communities is an important part as well.
Fair to say you're trying to shore up the strong support for the law as it already exists.
Well, I would say the bill is already quite positive. But what the president recognizes from his own experience is that when it's a package of this size, people don't always know how they benefit and what it means for them. And last week I was talking to him about one of the pieces of the package, the checks, and he asked me to explain to him, how do you explain to people how checks get out the door? So this is what's on his mind, right? How do people know how this money will help their schools? How do they know, how this will help get vaccines in the arms of their friends and family members? And he believes the American people deserve every high-level person from our administration out there explaining, discussing, taking input, and that's what his team will be doing.
So while he does that, there are a lot of Americans who see him going to take these trips this week to promote this popular law and think, okay, but why can't he take time to go down to the border? You said last week, and you've said before.
So what you've seen so far is really confusion about why the president is having this press tour. And let me explain to you basically what's going on. What's going on is the president is appearing across the country, but in certain states, to describe what's in the stimulus package. Why? Because the president has seen under the Obama administration that if you don't explain to the American people what is in a stimulus package, they won't see the benefits of it. And during the Obama administration, a stimulus package was introduced, it was passed, and then Barack Obama did not explain it to the American people. And then 1 year later, lost the House and lost the Senate to the Republicans. So while the reporter did not ask this question of the press secretary, there's a political reason why the president is appearing across the country to talk about the stimulus package, because of the concern that Americans don't know what else is in there besides a $14 stimulus check, and to set it up for the midterm elections. Ironically, when you look at the states in which the president is appearing across the board today, tomorrow, with the vice president and her husband, those are battleground states. They are not every state of the country, and certainly they're not Democratic-led states. They are battleground states. So with that, what really is in the stimulus package? And while the president may want to explain it to you, I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain to you the $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of money you can get under the third stimulus package in just a second. But first, here's a little bit about the community page coming up on this channel, and more about what you're going to see later today on LALATE. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. It's a big day with exciting news across the board, as $1,400 third stimulus checks are landing in more people's accounts. Throughout the day, I've been detailing the direct deposit of a $1,400 third stimulus check into your account. Viewers got them on Friday, other viewers got them on Saturday. But when are you going to get them? Throughout the day, I've been showing that the tracking of the stimulus check by irs.gov doesn't particularly work, and that the March 17th date that a lot of banks are providing you may be a misnomer, because it may suggest the day in which it starts to process, not the day in which it's released. It all depends on the bank. The takeaway of all those videos is the single best way to know when you're getting a stimulus check is other people like you who bank with the same financial institution. When they show the stimulus check appearing that day, you're getting it as well. On Friday, Cash App and Chime started to pay out, and they have now paid out. On Saturday, viewers of this channel said that no one had received the stimulus check on direct express cards from the federal government. So we certainly knew no one had received it by direct express. Who you are, whether you're on SSI or SSDI, is not a factor. It's rather who you bank with. If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, because I don't want you to miss an entire video anytime today. I'm having breaking developments across the board. Shortly or before the break, you saw comments from the White House about the third stimulus package. Now, right around the corner is the fourth stimulus package that will pay at least, presumably, $2,000 a month for 6 months, which would be a lot of money for a lot of people and could be anywhere from $12,000 to $16,000 in stimulus checks. Why is this no longer a far-fetched idea? Because a series of reports today say that the president is thinking about massive tax hikes across the board. Those tax hikes are among the items that he would have to use if he wants to pay $200 a month for children under the age of 18 for 18 years. He would also have to use something like that for stimulus checks. But before we get to the exciting great news of fourth stimulus, let's go over the money you can get from third stimulus. In addition to a stimulus check, you can get unemployment benefits now extended for 79 weeks if you're on PUA, previously 50 weeks. And PUC is now extended for 53 weeks, previously 24. You don't have to file a new claim, you remain on claim. Additionally, FPUC is extended to $300 a week to September 6th. Remember, your first $10,200 is tax-free if you made less than $150,000 in 2020. To fix that, you will have to file an amended return. Then COBRA is cheaper. This is really incredible, great news. Government will pay all COBRA premiums from April 1st to September 30th. And then after that, premiums will stay under 8.5% of your adjusted gross income. Child care tax credits are also delicious. They will be the following calculation. For children under the age of 13, you can deduct 50% of your child care costs up to $4,000 for one child. And if you have 2 or more children, you can deduct $8,000. Then the child deduction. That is the one that the president spoke about and the press secretary spoke about. How much is that? It's $3,600 or $3,000. $3,600 if the child is 5 to newborn, and $3,000 if the child's 17 to 6, paid on a monthly basis starting in the month of July. Hazard pay is in the third stimulus package as well, not by name, but by principle. It's the earned income tax credit now amended to $1,502 if you're 19 years or older and made less than $25,000. And that is done through a 2021 earned income tax credit on the return. Then there's big money for rental assistance. Rental assistance is included if you're behind on rent or you just have financial hardship indirectly because of the pandemic. Low-income families that have been unemployed for 3 months have priority for this as well. There's money for low-income, middle class, and also homeless. And then there's money for property owners. Will include mortgage payments, utility payments, and other housing costs. Finally, money for restaurants. Restaurants will get an enormous grant of up to $5 million per location, calculated the following way: 2020 revenue subtracted from 2019 revenue. And lastly, the EIDL grant. The EIDL grant is offered at $5,000 exactly if you have less than 10 employees and had a loss between 30 to 50%. There's no requirement that you be in a low-income based community. Now, of these instruments, which are live and which are not live, and where do you apply and how does it work? Let me go over each of them back again, explain them one at a time. The stimulus check, automatic. Do you have to do anything to get it? No. Unemployment. Do you have to do anything for unemployment? You need to stay on claim and certify for benefits on a weekly basis. How about the $10,000, $10,200? Yes, this is a tax return fix. You have to do it by tax return. COBRA. Anything to do with COBRA? No, that is automatic as well. Child care tax credit? Yes, you have to file tax return to get that benefit, the 2020 return. How about the child care, the child check of $3,600 or $3,000? No, this is automatic, presuming that IRS knows the child exists. And this would be paid to you by IRS starting the month of July. How about hazard pay? This is not automatic. This is on your 2020 return as an earned income tax credit. How about the rental? Where do you apply for that? That you would apply for locally in your city, county, or state. And finally, the restaurants and the EIDL. Where's that grant? That is at sba.gov. It is not live yet. So across the board, we see so many things happening today. And who do I see in the room? I see Darren and I see Sandy. And there is Linda. And then I also see Charlotte and Brandy N. How is everyone? It's a big day with exciting, great news. There is the Snyder house, and there's Bruce, and there's John. And who else did I see? There's Trina and Jazz, and there is Ted, who had a very stern comment about a particular bank. I'm seeing some of your incredible comments about individual banks. Needless to say, I'm not going to repeat them on air, but I love it because people are voicing their opinions about their banks and who helps them and who does not help them. That is what the purpose of a live chat functions as. There's beautiful 1974 and Charlotte and James and Ashley, and there's Bruce again. And there is Jacob, and there is Chishan, and there's Philip, and there's Kalina, and Selena, and Kylie, and Yolanda, and there is, wow, now it's flying, and there's Norma and Sandy as well. It's a big day with really exciting, great news. What happened to the student loan debt forgiveness? Great question. So the student loan debt forgiveness is still a standalone bill in the Senate. It has not yet passed. There are implications of it that were passed in the third stimulus package, but it's too confusing to reference because every time I bring it up, viewers think it's actually now law. It's not law, but rather there's provisions in there that remain on the Senate floor. Again, it's a standalone bill on the Senate floor that has yet to land on the president's table. Now let's cut back to what the president said today about your stimulus package and how soon he wants it to go out.
He will be unemployed in the near term. It'll help hundreds of thousands of small businesses keep their doors open, which makes a gigantic difference in neighborhoods and communities. If you have a drugstore, if you have a beauty shop, a hardware store, it's a center of small communities. And it gets our schools and resources they need to open safely. It provides the biggest investment in child care since World War II. And it provides food and nutrition help for the millions of families, keep them from going hungry, keeping a roof over their heads. And it expands health care coverage and lowers health care costs for so many people. And it will cut child poverty in half in this country. That's the estimate. Child poverty will be cut in half as a consequence of what's in this Recovery Act. And it will generate economic growth for the entire nation. That's why major economists, left, right, and center, support this plan. Even Wall Street has agreed. According to Moody's, by the end of this year, this law will spur our economy to create 7 million new jobs. And it does one more thing. It focuses on rebuilding the backbone of this country. Working families, the middle class, people who built this country. But as I said last week, it's one thing to pass a historic piece of legislation like the American Rescue Plan, and it's quite another to implement it. And the devil is in the details. It requires fastidious oversight to make sure the relief arrives quickly, equitably, and efficiently with no waste or fraud in your bank account, in your mailbox, to the local business, in your community, and to your child's school. Look, I've been here before. When President Obama and I came to office in 2009, he put me in charge of implementing the Recovery Act, which helped us recover and rebuild during the Great Recession. I was authorized to put together a team, including an accountability board with inspectors general from different agencies that were affected by the act, to make sure we got the roughly $800 billion out into the countryside by the book and quickly over 18 months. I talked to literally almost over 150 mayors, all governors except one, constantly going over the granular detail of the implementation of this legislation, that legislation. And the effort put us on a path from crisis to recovery to resurgence. Accordingly, to the Oversight Board that is of Inspectors General, they said we got it done with less than 0.2% waste or fraud. And that's not what the previous administration did, though. When the Congress...
So what you see in this recording is that the president is talking about the importance of enforcement and rolling out the stimulus package. But the big question across the board is, what about the fourth stimulus package? Millions of Americans are waiting for big and bolder money. And that's not particularly the money that the president delivered to some under the stimulus package. The president of the United States promised under the third stimulus package money for businesses to start. He called it an innovation grant. No one has yet to see it. He promised FPUC retro, unpaid FPUC from July to December. No one has seen that. He had promised SSI and SSDI $200 a month. No one has seen that. He had promised items after items. He promised a $2,000 stimulus check plus a $1,400 stimulus check. No one saw that. And yet the message the president will be going across the country with, starting today, is a massive multi-million-dollar ad campaign telling the American people he delivered exactly what he promised. What do you think? Ultimately, Democrats don't necessarily agree with him. And that's why under fourth stimulus, they're saying, well, you didn't particularly deliver under this stimulus package what you promised during the campaign trail and after you became president. So now is the time to start delivering exactly what you so promised. It's one thing to talk about the rollout of this money, but one thing you did hear reoccurring in that message from the president was the word child over and over again. In fact, if you listen carefully, he referred to children several times, more than even Nancy Pelosi referred to them in 2020. Why? On Friday, a report claimed that the president was on a conference call with a Democrat in the House and has urged her to make it a permanent law that children under the age of 18, under a certain income level, would get $250 a month every single month for 18 years. Ultimately, while you may or may not agree with the concept, the question is, who would pay for this? And with Treasury yields growing quickly and questions about where this money is going to come from, now the push is to say, well, if you want to go big and bold for everyone, start paying reoccurring stimulus checks for the rest of us. It's time, if you want to start paying a lot of money to other people, that reoccurring stimulus checks is paid to everyone else. This is really great news for you. Because if we are on a path for a lot of spending in the next few weeks, your big fourth stimulus checks could be next on the agenda. Thank you for joining me. Next up is Purple. I have big money and updates about second stimulus. Money right now, not 5 days from now, not 5 weeks from now. It's $5, $10, $15, $20,000. In that recording, the president spoke about how it takes a while to get money out the door on the third stimulus. He's exactly right. So don't wait for that money. Tune into Purple right after this so you can see the money available for rent, utilities, SNAP, and more. And I'll also go over questions about the $10,200, how you get that fixed for your unemployment, and the other items that are fixed in the third stimulus package. Stay with me as Afternoons LA continues with Purple.